So good morning, everybody. My name is Andrew Alithi. I'm CEO for Carrier One. I'm just going to skip over to that next slide. So what does Sui and DePIN have to do with each other? So what Sui builders should know is that there's a whole ecosystem that can be done off of blockchain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain a little bit about myself. I'm Andrew Alithi, CEO and co-founder for Carrier One. We've been building telecom on Sui blockchain. And let me begin. So what is exactly DePIN? So when crypto meets reality is what we kind of define DePIN. So we want to say it's decentralized physical infrastructure networks. DePINs are blockchains powered as platforms that are leveraging token incentives, on-chain governance to crowdsource the deployment and operation and maintenance of physical infrastructure. So what does that mean in a nutshell? Well, by tokenizing assets and automating the governance, and they usually enable anything for hosts, devices, and wireless hotspots. So IoT devices, our Wi-Fi hotspots, our 3G, 4G, 5G access, and we incentivize that by allowing people to earn tokens for that. And so that's how we do the verifiable rewards. We make sure that there's data going through our Wi-Fi hotspots and radios. So let me go through some examples of other projects and other things for this in the next slide. So as I was saying about the different examples, the Wi-Fi access offload is one of those key options. The other one is the cellular, Scion routing. So I do have the next presenter, which is Adrian, that will be talking about Scion in more depth, and Walrus as well. So the DePIN economy. So what is the DePIN economy? So you have the pay-for-use of data connectivity. So we have MNOs like, which are mobile network operators, such as AT&T, which will actually offload their subscriber data through our Wi-Fi access points, 3G, 4G, and 5G networks. And so how we incentivize is we actually have users who deploy these wireless connectivity devices, and they earn tokens for every time a subscriber connects and does data through those devices. So essentially what happens is the carrier will pay us in fiat currency, and we will actually get that into the token form to hand it out to the different Wi-Fi access points and different people in the ecosystem, such as the 4G, 5G networks. And so we pay for this infrastructure through that incentivification. And it's a great time because it means that we actually have the network through Sui to be able to get to that point. So other examples in the ecosystem, especially on Sui, is Drive, 3DOS, and GeoNet. So when we look at Drive is a ride-sharing app. It allows people to take their car and actually earn income from using that. The other thing as well is 3DOS is a 3D printing company. You can literally go there, put your 3D models, get it printed in multiple different places. We decentralize the printing. And then the other thing is RTK positioning. So it's way more precise than GPS. Right now, GPS does triangulation. It allows people to run hardware and so forth on the chain. So it's not easy come, easy go, right? So everyone's so used to memes. Everyone understands memes are quick, fast money. DePIN's not. DePIN is a lot more sustained user engagement and participation. So we require users to actually deploy, sustain the actual access to the radio, and then they earn. And it completely brings the real world into blockchain. So the other thing is network coverage. We gradually want to grow this network coverage. We start off very small, deploying all these wireless access points all throughout, for instance, in US, in Canada, and all across Europe. So for us, it's about building out these networks and figuring out the issue that the big mobile network operators have. So the mobile network operators are looking for data offloading, right? So you end up having a stadium which has 30,000 people on the stadium. And of those 30,000 people, they're all sitting there sending an Instagram video. So they're all posting about them being at the game, and it becomes chaos right there. So us having this Wi-Fi offloading allows for us to actually segment smaller locations, smaller dense areas inside the stadium to actually be able to have data go through, and everybody can now send their video. So the expectation is quite interesting. We're building out a massive network, a global network that we want to include accessibility for everybody. We believe that internet, Wi-Fi, wireless should be a right to humans. And so for us, we want to ensure that the community owns this entire network. And so we look at profit sharing as one of the wins for DePIN. Now, the other reality is it can be hard. So there's a lot of enthusiasm. Everyone's like, hey, I'm gonna take on the big telcos. There's this commercial standard that we expect in the mobile network operator ecosystem, and it becomes almost like a chicken and egg problem. So when it comes down to that, we look at the bridge between the rewards to what everyone's earning as being something that we have to kind of balance. And so therefore, sometimes the ROI is too long for some people. A lot of people want that meme token where they just get in and out. So unique challenges. So verifying real world work, right? So it's off chain. How do we look at that? So we look at proof of coverage, we look at proof of service, anti-spoofing. We try to prevent gamifying these systems. So some people might bring their AT&T phone next to their hotspot device and sit there and go on different videos, Netflix, and try to gamify it. So there's that aspect. Now, the other aspect is the physical ops and scaling. So we're looking at the hardware supply. Like just recently, we had an issue in the US where bringing in our radio access network and everything with all these Wi-Fi units, it took a while because of the tariffs. So you're looking at shipping in multiple regions, you're looking at remote power, you're looking at mounting the device, maintenance. Not everybody is inclined for technology, so there's that scaling issue. Now, the other thing is incentives. So how do we incentivize people? So we incentivize them by giving them token rewards for deploying this Wi-Fi hotspot or the 4G or 5G network. And at the end of the day, when it comes down to deploying this, it's aligning that tokenomics to the demand. So you have two problems that you have to look at. You have to look at your users who are putting these radio devices, and you have tons of them putting them up, but then you also have to have that demand. And basically making it frictionless. So we have something where it's zero-touch provisioning, where you take the device, pull it out of the package, look at the serial number MAC address, deploy it. That's a whole entire step that you have to figure out because not everybody is technologically inclined. So let's talk about regulatory. It's a huge hurdle. We know we're seeing this in blockchain, and especially when you look at what the US is trying to do with blockchain. Now, there's an extra thing that has to happen. Like the telecom industry is a very huge incumbent industry, and there's a lot of people that look at it as like, you have all these different services they have to worry about. You have to worry about being highly regulated, and it's all about, global connectivity, right? So you don't want it where you're sitting there on a phone call and it drops. You also don't want it where you're sitting there and you need to make a 911 call and you're in the middle of nowhere. And that's important. So for us, we look at spectrum licensing, we look at 911 services, we look at lawful intercept. Surprisingly, police likes to intercept in some of our calls, and memberships to various organizations such as GSMA. And so you actually look at regulation, safety, and so forth. So there's a huge thing that holds back on the real world of telecom. So what do we like about Sui? So why did we choose Sui in the first place? So we use something called zero knowledge login, all right, ZK login for short. And what that means is that we actually have users who don't know anything about wallets, right? And at the end of the day, you want to just be able to get on board, get your phone number, and be able to start using the system and the platform. So we've worked with Sui to put together our own servers and stuff like that to actually be able to authenticate users and log them in with Gmail, log them in with a phone number, and log them in with their own email. So we leverage the OAuth flows and trust and familiarity, along with the prover that Sui has built together, and we're able to do logins both Facebook, Google, and Apple. And the other thing is abstract on-chain complexity. So we're able to create this wallet from thin air, right? So you log in, we get this code, and we use that and we link it to the wallet. So every time you log in, there's an ephemeral key that gets created, and you're able to actually create that wallet for the user without us having custodial of that. So it makes it easy for Web2 users to be able to get on board onto our app. And if it's any DApp setup, so you can use the zero knowledge login as well as your old existing hardware wallets, and we can even allow users to choose whether they want to go that path or go the other path. So it allows for a bigger audience, especially those that understand Web3 and those that understand Web2. So zero knowledge proof in practice. So we run our own OpenID server. It took a fair bit to kind of get all that stuff going, but it allows us to actually own our own prover, have our own OpenID server, be able to have people log in with phone numbers to the wallet, and the onboarding is pretty quick and simple. You get an OTP, which is a little text message with a couple digits, and then you're ready to go. So I like to also talk about PTBs. I know Sam Blackshear was talking about it early this morning. So we love PTBs because it allows us to actually go and create a whole transaction block, multiple transactions where we can actually take funds from somebody and then send them an NFT all in the same transaction. If one fails, the whole thing fails. And I do believe that when he was talking about it, he said they're working on even more complexity for PTBs. So, when you step inside a PTB, you have, either fully succeeds or fully fails. And then the complexity flows that you get with that as well is the validation. So you're able to actually validate object updates, token transfers, and then it almost works like a database where you're able to roll back if things don't go so well. And then cost efficiency. So having it all in one transaction allows us to actually reduce the cost of doing each individually. And you could see that with EVM chains when you actually go and do swaps, the same thing. And then better UX. So you actually can do one single execution, have it all run as one giant transaction, and then you get that entire ecosystem going. So setting multiple assets. So what we use PTB for, as I said in the previous slide, was about being able to send and receive things together in the same transaction. So for instance, if I'm sending 5 Sui and I have 5 USD and 2 NFTs to go in a single go, and if one of them fails, I want the whole thing to stop. And I want it to go back to where it was before. So that's what we're using for the Carrier One number service, is being able to have those NFTs that as soon as you purchase a phone number, you get that NFT as well in your wallet, and you also have the phone number and all the information that goes with that phone number. So here's an explanation of how it happens. So we have 2 coin objects that were created on the receiving account. So they get that. We reduce the balance from the previous account on all those things, and then on top of that, with the NFT objects, we update the owner. And it's so pretty straightforward. It allows for us to be able to do a lot of different things on the actual ecosystem, just doing this PTBs that don't exist currently on other blockchains. So the Move language. So what's great about the Move language? Secure by design, efficient and scalable, and then developer friendly. So clear object ownership is a huge thing for us. We're able to look at functions, have strict type checking. You're able to actually, as a new developer, be able to ensure security is kept with the actual application. And then other things are fine-grained transactions and sub-second finality. So like all this stuff is really good, especially cheap gas. And then there's another thing as well, gas stations. Being able to do things where we want to send phone numbers to somebody, and we want them to be able to interact with the phone number, but we don't want them to pay anything in Sui for the gas. So we can sponsor these transactions as well. So I say, I implore everybody to try these next steps, create a token, create a coin, try out PTBs. Here are some examples of how to do these things exactly. And it's very simple and super straightforward. And then I'd like to thank you all for your time, and welcome to Dubai.